Welcome to the Women in Business radio show with Sian Murphy, connecting women in business around the globe.
So welcome to the Women in Business radio show. It's much better now. It's just us.
You feel the energy.
Yes. So many in the studio. It's just us. We haven't had a chat for ages, have we? No, we've got nobody, got no guests, we've got nothing. No. It's just us. I've got no idea what we've got no idea what we're going to talk about. We usually
fill up an hour and plus with chat, don't we?
We do, don't we? So I don't know. I suppose we should say who we are. Yeah. So this is the Women in Business. This is the Women in Business radio show. I'm Sian Murphy. Hello. So
I'm Adelle Martin.
And well, we're just talking business stuff, aren't we? Yeah. So in this half of the show, we're talking about sort of fit for business. So it's look good, feel good, energy levels, not peeing yourself on stage. It could be,
could be anything. Yeah,
could be anything. We've got a new bit of the show. We're going to introduce you.
I'm quite worried when I've been away for you for a few weeks because you said, I've got a new bit for the show. I was like, okay.
Well, I'm not quite sure what to do about this, really, to be honest. So the first one was okay. So we're going to have a word. I'm not sure, but we're going to have a word of the show. So the first thing we have to do, the word of the week is this week. The first one was titty biscuit, which we're going to try and get organically. So it doesn't. What was it? You said it sounds like we've got. It doesn't sound like we've got Tourette's.
We just can't shout these things out.
We're not allowed to say. Well, we're probably not allowed to say that. The other one, I'm not sure that we can mention. I might get your view. It was.
I think the first one's better.
Yes, I'm not sure. It's something you said happens quite a lot. The saddles in the gym, isn't it? Yeah, that was a phrase actually. That's not a word.
Yeah, people wiping them down.
God.
Yeah. Careful if you get on the bike.
Yes.
I'm going to go to the gym tonight and I'm going to just send you a picture of the bike. I'm just going to send you the picture of my bicycle in the gym with us. And it's never going to be the same. Bicycle sniffing.
Do people really? You see, I don't go to that sort. It is that sort of gym, I guess. I mainly go swimming in mine because it has a saltwater pool, which means I don't get. But I don't go around sniffing saddles.
No. The only thing is because I'm fairly short. If I go to a bike, and most people are taller than me, then the seat is closer to my nose anyway. So I always have to lower the seat.
Hang on a minute. So it's you sniffing.
Me. It's only because I'm short.
It's you sniffing.
I always
saddles.
get the bike after probably somebody's about 7 foot on it, and the seat's really high. So I sort of headbutt it. So I have to lower the seat.
Try not to lick it on the way down.
I won't. I'll send you a picture tonight.
It's not.
Oh dear.
It's not.
Yeah.
Of what? Yeah. What are you going to send me a picture of?
Bicycle seat.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you.
These words to fit in. I can titty biscuit probably not. Although on the desk here,
that's a ridiculous word,
I can see jammy Dodgers, but I can't see another range of biscuits.
I am often dropping crumbs down my frontage. I don't think that's got something to do with it. There's always something down there.
There you go. That could be.
That could be it, couldn't it?
It could be where we're going to get these words in. The word of the show. So that's going to be something to look forward to each week. Now, when you bring me the word of the show,
I'm not sure that I can come up with them every week. But talking about men. Now that we have the studio to ourselves,
men free.
Just sort of a little interesting thing was I got a number of comments, and I wouldn't like to say it was criticism, but just sort of heading towards that direction, because for the Women in Business Big Show, I have a man who does the photography. I know.
Interesting.
I know. So I just thought we'd mention that. I do have a guy who does the photography. There are two reasons. Number one, he was the guy who stepped up.
Yeah.
And number two, he's really good at photographing women when they are moving around. Now, that may sound a bit odd, but he is. Some people do portraits, and Pete can do those as well. But other people are just really, really good when people are just moving. And that's what events are like. People are moving. People are moving around. He's coming down into the studio soon. He's going to be taking pictures of Adelle and I.
Because at the end of the day, we both didn't look our best. It was a long day.
I couldn't face it. There were things dripping everywhere. It was just...
It was a long day.
I'd been running the cafe. Oh, God, it was... I'd been there since Wednesday.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because I've got a male photographer as well. People said that to me. Oh, you've got... everything that I do with the Women in Business and my menopause club and all that. I said, yeah, but he, like you said, he's good at doing in movement shots, fitness shots, and he's one of the guys we're just in. So yeah, Interesting.
So as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter who you are or what you do. No. Just because it's the Women in Business big show doesn't mean that we, as women, we work with men. And that's it. And another
person for the job.
Another criticism I got a little while ago was that there's it's like a kitten heel. The logo for the show is a kitten heel, and that I shouldn't be representing women. I don't know if I would like a DM or something. I don't know what was it supposed to be, or nothing at all. I don't know. But I think people are getting themselves confused, really, with what's their business.
Yes,
and it's not their event. And if you don't like the event, don't come to the event, or don't promote the event, or don't have anything to do with it. Have I got it wrong? Do I have some sort of social responsibility to represent women not in kitten heels?
No, it's the brand.
I wear kitten heels. Well, no, I don't, because my ankles would fall off. But I wear heels.
Absolutely.
I've got lippy, I've got lipstick, I've got makeup, you name it. There is nothing real about me, is there? Let's be honest.
There is. But it's a shame. Again, it's the same for the branding, for the women business. It just stands out. It stands out for both.
I mean, do I have a social responsibility to represent women across the... No, I don't think I do. Sorry.
No, so, and it's a long-standing brand, and it's identifiable, and people identify by it.
That's just me being difficult. Let's work with... We do work with men.
Absolutely.
And Pete will be there next year, and Paul will be doing the interviews.
Yeah, so Paul was there, wasn't he? Paul?
Yeah. And there will be other blokes there as well.
There were stall holders. It was absolutely.
It's, as women, we work with men. We
do, and we still can't get away. And I know we still can't get away from the fact that there are still only 1 in 3 women entrepreneurs. We still haven't got that level in overall. So that's why we have the show to provide the support, so we can make a difference on that number. Why we've got some great sponsors of that show, and why we need more women in business.
But it's inclusive.
There's lots of. Yeah,
I'm not having some. I mean, it would just be some estrogen fueled. Well, not in my case.
Do you know what? I'm sitting here reflecting as I walk around. There was exhibitions with men, and then do you know what? Maybe it's me. I don't even think about it. Like the fact that
it's a question I'm asked quite a lot. Actually, is can I bring a man? Yeah.
I was doing the Q&A with Barry and Laura, and there was loads of men that I've spoke to there. And for me, it was everything we brought to bring women in all of those zones, to bring women into business. We should get more focused on the content and the delivery than hang up on the branding. But it is what it is. For me, it's a recognisable brand, and I didn't even think about it.
I wouldn't have done if people didn't say things.
Yeah.
And my answer is sorry if you don't like it, go somewhere else.
No, I always found I found the show inclusive, but this year I think it was even more. There was definitely more men around the exhibits. There was more talking.
I don't even think about it. I don't care what sex you are or gender. We suppose gender. I don't know.
Yeah. It's only because you've said. I'm just sitting back and thinking, actually, there's more than. I thought it was very inclusive, and busy, and lots of good conversation.
Right, okay, that's enough of that.
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about now? We were going to be talking about boundaries, weren't we? And a number of people that are quite tired at the moment. I've been tired, but I've been doing a lot.
Yeah. Tired or can't do something because of, this phrase of being pulled, I seem to be pulled in all different directions. I have a plan for the day and then something happens and I get pulled all over the place. And I've been involved in several Q&As and discussions. Now I'm getting out and speaking to real people. And everyone just seems so pulled away and torn. And when you have those conversations and I say, well, why did that happen? Well, I got that phone call, so I just run and dropped everything. And I go, well, why did you? Well, where it feels like we're coming back out of lockdown, we're building our business, we're coming out of a long summer, and in some of it was a long, hot summer, and perhaps we've got a bit of boundary drift. I don't know. Around what are those, and do we need to stop and reset some of these things?
Do you know, I think we do, and I think what we do, to some extent, we need to look at where it is that we're working and who we're working with, because I think there's a big difference if you're working one-to-one. So if you're, say, acting as a little bit of a freelancer as well, and you're working one-to-one with people, so you have clients, if you like, I think it's really important to define your role with that client.
Yeah.
Firstly and most importantly, in your own head.
Yes, not theirs, yours.
And to make a decision about what that role is. So that if you find, if suddenly some things happen, you're just aware of them and you don't let it go too far. So if you provide business support for somebody, for instance, or let's just say you're providing writing services for somebody, how far does that role go? Because there's a difference between providing business support, social media support, or say social media management, and being somebody's PA.
Yes. Yes, very much. Yeah. It's a broad topic. You say service, you've got to be really granular, haven't you?
And if you're not careful, suddenly you can become the PA.
Yes.
Over a period of time, little things happen, and can you just? Yeah,
can
all right.
I love that. Oh my God, that phrase. Okay. Can you just? Where did that come from?
Have you got? Have you got? Or can you just copy?
Have you got a second?
Yeah, you did that last week. Could you just copy that and send it to me? Now you're sort of becoming. You've sent it to them, they've lost it. Okay, that's okay every now and then, but if it carries on like that, you're actually becoming the repository for their information.
Yeah.
And that's okay, but it's not okay if that's not what you agreed to do. So if you're getting, I've lost X, Y, and Z, can you just send that to me? And it's 8 o'clock at night, and they need it like by 8:30 because they've got to do something. Now, that's not actually. Is that within your role? Well, it is if that's what you've decided and that's what you're providing.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially if you've had a client or a contract for a long period of time, you end up getting this creep that, and then all in innocence, you might have done something. Oh yeah, I've got a minute. I'll do that for you as a favour, and then that becomes the contract. And so you've got to be so careful because sometimes we don't help ourselves. So there's that element, and then as you get to know that client and you end up getting much more friendlier terms, then you have to be careful on either side that you don't go in above and beyond what's on the contract and they ask more, because that familiarity then breeds, and then you start to get resentful.
Do you know, and that is that thing about it, is it in the contract, and suddenly it becomes in the contract, is a really common thing. Is, you give a little value add, a little bonus, and then you do that every month, and then if it doesn't happen, people are no longer looking at it as the bonus. They're actually looking at it as what is part of the deal. Well, it was never part of the deal, but it becomes part of the deal. And then when it's taken away, instead of going, well, aren't I lucky I had that for 6 months, they're now, where is that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've lost that. That's been taken away from me.
Yeah.
So, write down exactly what it is that you're doing, because at some point you will have to put the brakes on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You will.
And also, if you have got a moment, it's also be very strict with yourself and say, no, actually, that's in the contract. Don't be too nice, because you end up setting yourself a rod for your own back. Is the problem. So
I think we've got boundaries when we work with personal clients. I think that's it. You've got to put those in place, and people will respect them as long as they know. Because it must also be quite difficult from the other point of view. I know, because I have people who work for me, is that I actually quite like to know what somebody's boundaries are. And to set that. So, for instance, I have people where I may want to send them a message, and I want to send the message now on Messenger, or we use Click. I may want to send the message now because I don't want to try and remember it in 3 or 4 hours' time. I want to send it now, but that doesn't mean I'm expecting an answer now. It just means I want to send the message now. And so perhaps being clear about that, saying, I'm not expecting an answer, here's a question, when you start, or when you do this, or when you get to it, can you please come back to me? And actually making it quite clear from their point of view that you're not expecting them to drop everything and come back, that they're just going to fit that into the day when they work with you.
And that's a really important one, because if you think at the moment, if you think of all the apps and platforms that we could get messages from, someday it can look quite overwhelming, because you've just got stuff all over the place. And I felt that this week. I felt like everyone's sort of coming back to work, got loads of in, and I say, if you send me, I'll get within 24 hours, but if you really do need me, then ring me. And then if I know, Sean, we chat and do stuff during the day, but if you need me urgently, you go, oh, you're there, I'm going to ring you, and I'll pick up. Then I know I called it a code blue. But if it's a WhatsApp, by the time but otherwise, if you then start responding very quickly on it, then people expect that.
Yeah, they do.
Even if you say you've got a 24-hour turnaround, but actually I've got a minute, don't in that minute. Don't do it. It's too compelling, because then sometimes people say, well, actually, you did it last week. I had an instant response. You haven't responded. Oh, God, yeah, I did. So, again, we quite bombarded with messages as well. It can feel quite overwhelming.
And especially now, I mean, there's business WhatsApp, so, it could well be that you are getting messages from clients with requests out of hours' time. So don't answer, don't open them. I mean, most of the platforms actually give you that facility, don't they? That you don't have to open the thing, as tempting as it may be.
Don't open
just
it.
Don't. If that comes in after 5 o'clock or whatever your working hours are, don't look at it.
No. And at least with WhatsApp Business, I've coded
Turn
everybody.
the thing off.
Yeah, you can code any, if you've got it mixed up, then you can code everybody into groups, which is what I've done on the service that they're paying for. Then I'm mindful of it. But just because I've got 5 minutes, I know I won't open them, because you reset the standard, and that's not what you want. So you've got to be quite mindful of the boundaries.
I think that's critical. You reset the standard. You just do, don't you?
You do.
Yes.
Yeah, and then when you don't, they go, actually, am I bad? Well, it's my own fault. So as tempting as it is, just stick to that standard.
Yeah. I mean, I have a personal WhatsApp and Messenger, and I have a business WhatsApp account. And if you're business, you're on business, and that's it. It doesn't mean I don't like you or respect you. It just means that it's about business.
Yeah.
And at some point, I have to stop. And if you can't get that, then oh dear.
Yeah. When think about a number of years ago, the way into your business might have been a phone call and an email, but now it comes at you all over the place. So you have to be quite mindful of that. And that in itself can feel overwhelming, because you're sort of getting information at you, or requests from clients or prospective clients from so many different channels that we didn't have a few years ago.
Do you know, and the emails, I used to open emails. I used to just look at emails a lot. And now I don't, because I just leave them. Yeah. Because if I open them, the chances are I'm not anywhere where I can actually do anything about it. But it's now in my head.
Exactly. That's why I batch them. Exactly for that reason. And same with if I pick up the worst one. If you're on a platform like WhatsApp, you get it, and you need to respond. There's no way to flag it, is it? And then you get a load of other messages. I have this meltdown. Have I responded to everything? Have I done it? I thought, no, don't open the WhatsApp unless I'm actually going to respond it. And the same with the emails. I batch them up, because like you said, it's in my head. It's all in my head before I even get on. So I can create a problem just being on my own if I don't stick to my own boundaries.
So I think that boundaries are going to be the key here. If you are feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling like you actually never get to the end of it, that's because you aren't setting a boundary. There is nothing to get to the end of. It just carries on and on and on, because you can run anything like that, can't you? You can run any business like that. If you're a freelancer, it's like that. If you have a job, you can carry on like that. It's just that an employer, very often there are some boundaries that are set, aren't there? Some employers will abuse those boundaries, some won't set them. But at least somewhere along the line, you have a piece of paper that probably says you work 40 hours a week. Well, of course, when you're in business, and this sounds so obvious because people say this to us all the time, don't they? Oh, well, nobody tells you to pack up at 5. They don't, but we don't take any notice of it, do we?
No, absolutely, because they're more controlled at you. When, like you said, you're in your own business, then you've got to have those boundaries of when you work, and be that self-police. And I know that when we've been doing some Q&As about trying to fit things into diaries, trying to do things, and I say, so what structure have you got around your diary? What boundaries? What are you open? What's your turnaround time on referring to things? It's I'll just hit it as it gets to me. So you're going to feel an element of overwhelm and chaos before you even sort of get up. So, and I think, again, when you go from corporate or you start setting your own business, it's one of those things that someone could tell you that it's 24/7 or you're structured, but how do you then have the discipline to put those boundaries in and set that into your diary? And then when you do have a free moment, because you might have one, stop the urge to go in, tinker and go, well, I'll do that one earlier. Don't then change the expectations. And that was one of the lessons I learned early on.
I think the trick here is what am I trying to achieve? Is that you ask that question, what am I trying to achieve here? So I think it could be that you need more income. It could be that you have too many clients, which is almost as much of a problem as having not enough clients.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you've got too many clients, you are quite likely to start dropping plates.
Yes.
You're going to start potentially getting a bad reputation. Don't want to frighten you folks, but a bad reputation. You're going to get stressed. You're not going to have the staff to deliver the products and services. All of that sort of thing. It is almost as bad as not having it. In fact, it's possibly worse than not having enough clients. Yeah. And so, what is it you're trying to achieve? And actually sort of ask that as a nutshell statement and really look at the answer and then look at, okay, what do I need to do that? So it's no good just saying, so somebody that I've been working with recently is, they need more income coming in. Okay, lovely. What sort of income? What sort of income? They could go and work in a shop and get some income. Is it going to be one big client? Is it lots of little clients? Is it recurring income clients? What is it that you actually want?
Yeah.
Because those are one big client is very, very different to lots of little clients, but all of them will bring you potentially the same amount of income.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's coming back and, looking at the risk of your income, where your money's coming from, the time, and it's looking back at that different style. No, we don't call it passive income at all, because it's absolutely
There's
not.
Nothing passive.
There's nothing passive about creating leveraged income and recurring income. But it's looking at your product suite or the product ladder and going, actually, make sure that you've got that element of it. But when we talk to people is do we spend enough time stepping back, looking at the income strategy and saying, actually, we need a mixture of a few rather than eggs in one basket. As we talked about before, when your business grows organically, just by nature of organic, you might end up with two big clients and not enough leveraged and recurring income. For actually, I need to fix that. It's not a problem today, but it could be if I lose that client. So how do you got to constantly have a look at that? Because you're right, what is the problem and you're trying to fix? And actually, you could then say, well, actually, if I get more recurring income, I won't need as many private clients, which releases some time in my diary because I've got too many clients. So it's just sitting back. And you said it's a constant moving target, isn't it, for us?
But I think the only way to solve the overwhelm is to actually really focus on one thing that you are trying to achieve. But get it down as narrow as you can. So you don't just want more income. There's a huge difference between the different types of income. And if you have too many clients, okay, what do you want to achieve? Because you can achieve not having, having fewer clients by just getting rid of them, can't you? You can just sack you could say, okay, the top 10%, the lower 10% ones, who aren't paying more, you just get rid of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a strategy I'd use, but it is a strategy. You just say, okay, guys, you're out. But so what is it that you want to achieve? Do you want to keep those clients? Do you need a better way of servicing the clients? Do you need to do look at your service delivery in a different way? Okay, if you're going to get other people in, are they going to be staff? Are they going to be, you're going to employ them? Are they going to be freelancers? Really sort of decide what you want so that you can put the plan in place to make that happen.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one sort of boundary. What other boundaries have we got?
I think for me, it would also be, this part of the show is that fit for business. So we know that we need to look after ourselves. We have to do these things, eat properly, do a bit of exercise, making sure we've got sleep and breaks in. And I think that even when we start off and we put these things into our diary, again, when I'm talking to women last week at the show, when we talked to this at length, they're like, well, yeah, I know that slot's for me, but actually somebody asked me something quickly, so I just use that slot that's my slot for that person. I said, so if you treat yourself as a client, then you would just cancel that. Oh, wow, and I've not really thought of it like that. So again, even if the women say, actually, I'm going to put this in my diary, I'm going to take 10 minutes out and do this, and they see those slots in those diaries as easy to give up. Shall
I tell you also, I catch myself doing this. I don't like exercise. I'm really quite... Anybody who's ever sort of given me a bit of a prod is, pardon the expression, is going to realise I'm actually quite soft, okay? I'm squashy. I don't like exercise. Adele,
10 minutes. I did a 10 minutes stronger a day. I did it. Were you in the? Oh no, sorry, you were doing the coffee, weren't you? Otherwise, I would have dragged you into my masterclass.
Adele is like a pair of scissors. Okay.
I love that.
If I sort of tossed a golf ball at Adele, it would bounce off and just sort of probably crash onto the wall. If you threw it at me, we'd lose it somewhere. It's like it would disappear into the folds. We'd never find it again. I don't like exercise, so it actually doesn't work. Me putting stuff in the diary doesn't work because I only need one little thing to justify it. And guess what? I'm not doing it. Yeah. So I'm not talking
about hours in the gym. I was talking to these women about walking and if they're working indoors all day, just to get out.
Same thing.
Right, I'm dragging you out.
Same thing. So I've got another word that's come up, okay, which is priorities.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we also need to look at priorities. So at the moment, I know that one of my priorities should be getting fitter and making sure that I'm stronger. And I'm actually quite mobile, and I do walk quite a lot. So I'm not sat here in my bath chair, not just yet, but I am getting a lot older. I'm a pensioner now. So I sort of now is a time where I need to get a grip of this and actually do something if I'm going to be able to be fit and strong enough to carry on doing, because I ain't retiring, folks. No. I really can't see me retiring.
Not on this show.
No, it's not going to happen. So I still need to be able to get around and do stuff. I'm still going to be running around events and doing goodness knows what else when I'm 90. Even if I've got to have somebody wheeling me along.
That'd be me.
I'm going to be doing it. So now really is the time to sort of get a grip of this. But the problem here is not my boundaries, it's my priorities.
Yes.
Is that I know it in my head, but I haven't set it in a priority. There's always, that'll be okay tomorrow, or I'll do that tomorrow. Well, it's tomorrow, isn't it? So it's about sort of making a conscious effort, I think, to actually sort of shift that priority.
Yeah, absolutely.
And look at my values and at what point, when am I going to do this?
Absolutely, because the same that I say to women, you talk about boundaries in your business, you talk about priority, your business plan. That's no good if you can't execute it or deliver it because you're not feeling great. And that's because as women not feeling great, we know it's not just our business, it's then children, extended families, it's clients, it's volunteering. We're pretty much at the heart of everything we do in our community. So we have plans and priorities for our business. I'm saying to these women is, what are yours for you to help your family, more importantly, and your business, which is why we come up with this part of this slot for this show, and also the big show as well, because we realised, didn't we, how important it was for women to be fit for business.
Yes. So it's boundaries, it's priorities, and I think only then.
I've got probably another word building out on that.
Oh, go on then.
You can have our boundaries, we can have priorities. One thing I feel is a muscle that's missing is consistency. There's an element of consistency. Because some of the things we're saying are not difficult. As I say to women, when I work with women, I'm not asking you to do anything that's really difficult or challenging. What I'm after is to find the priority, put in the boundary, and then just consistently do this stuff. Just consistently do it. Because we know habits are a minimum of 21 days, and then we work into beyond that. So for me, I say to women, just be consistent. If it's 5 minutes, then I'd rather you do 5 minutes 3 times a week than 1 week doing 2 hours and then break off for 6 months and this all or nothing. For me, it's having that consistency is a muscle that does need developing, and I work quite hard on that with women.
And I think if we're just looking at, say, fitness, perhaps asking the question, how can I make this work? Yeah. So I enjoy swimming. I don't have a swimming pool at home, so I have to go to the swimming pool. I don't have to do that often, but I do have to go to a pool to do that. But there are other things that I could actually do at home. So, how can I make this work? Well, yes, I could consistently go walking. I can open my door and I can walk out. Or I could even walk up and down in my house. Yeah. There are things that you can do to get your body moving, even if you don't do any sort of formal exercise. You don't have to go anywhere to do it.
No, you don't.
Just do it. But I even managed to avoid that. So, it's not about time here, is it, actually?
No, it isn't. It is about priority and then sort of consistency. And for me, it is, it's, and when I would say most of the women I work with come to me with a specific problem. So it's got to that point where they're going to crowbar it in their diary because they want some help with something, rather than actually, if I get it in my diary now, I may not need to see Adelle. But that's the the vitamin versus the pill. We have this discussion a lot around businesses, and sometimes where women put themselves last, well, I'll do that tomorrow, and then all of a sudden they said, Adelle, I need your help. Can you help me with some sort of fitness or nutrition or something, because they don't feel great. And I say to them, I can help you, but it would have been a lot easier if you come 12 months ago before you needed me.
I wonder what the cut-off point is between I don't feel great because I'm actually just worn out because I am doing too much, and I don't feel great because I need to sort out my nutrition and exercise. You think it's perhaps you can sit and ponder this forever, and you just need to say, okay, what is sort of something that you can do that is reasonable?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think 80, the 80-20.
Absolutely.
Basically.
Absolutely.
You can't be perfect all the time.
No. 80-20. It's what, absolutely. When you're working with women, everything's about the 80-20. And having things in that you enjoy doing. Because, again, this isn't about punishment. This is at all. And, again, I was doing it running, again, at the Q&A, where sometimes we think of exercise and food as punishment for our body. But we can't blame ourselves for that, because we know in society, when we look, I knew how my mum grew up in like Weight Watchers cultures and etc. So, therefore, all we've been done is fed this information. And so it's just saying to women that, for us to carry on, it's not a punishment at all. So find something that they say, what you recommend I do, something you enjoy that you're going to do consistently. That's all I say.
I tell you what suddenly occurred to me, something I wrote about a little while ago, and it's about recurring themes. So is there something that is always in the background of your life?
Yeah.
So the ones that I'm thinking of are weight loss, money, relationships. What else could there be? Things that just sort of where you just sort of keep going round and round and round in circles.
Absolutely.
And it's almost like there's this, you've got your work, you've got your stuff, you've got your business, you've got things going on, you've got all of this lot, and then there's this little track somewhere else. And everybody has it, I think. No. Everybody has this other little track where they're always on the scales, or they're always thinking about what they're eating or what they're not eating.
Absolutely.
Or how much money they've got or how much money they haven't got. There
is. And worse than that, because I was discussing it with the group last night. So I'm going to put those three themes again, because I'll tell you why in a minute. You got weight loss, you got relationships and finance. You run through your Instagram feed with sponsored ads. Those three come up consistently. Is your relationship good or bad? Well, I didn't really think about it until you put an ad in front.
We're missing a trick here, aren't we? So hang on, we need 3 bits to the show.
You watch, because I was talking to these women last night wondering why they feel about weight loss and quick win. And just look at your sponsored ads. So there's always one on weight loss, there's always one on finances, and there's always one on relationships. Is your relationship bad? Well, I didn't really think about it till you've just put an ad under my nose. So yeah, you're right. So those three reoccurring themes are there. And if I think back to my mum's generation, it was just around weight loss, because that's all it was, because society has now put things like owning relationships, taking control of relationships and finances much more into our sphere that they did my mother's. We've got those reoccurring themes, and you're right. You just look at your Instagram sponsor, and these women got their phones out and went, oh my God. And these are things that even if we didn't subconsciously want to, we're being fed it.
So I'm now thinking about brain space. Okay, so think about overwhelm and having too much to do, and actually physically, if you like, say having too many emails to write or too many whatevers to write, whatever it is that you've got too many to do, shift that over to brain space. Yep. And if you are using your brain to think about shall I eat this? Shall I not eat that? Oh, how many calories has that got? Shall I have that? Or what about, well, I should have this, but what if I don't have that? And I should have a biscuit, but oh no, but I had a biscuit yesterday. Yeah. So I'll tell you what, I'll have today's biscuit, I'll have tomorrow's biscuit today.
Yeah, exactly.
And if we do all of, if everybody is doing that with relationships, money, and not just weight loss, sometimes it's weight, isn't it? There are some people who can't put weight on. And weight, and it
appearance,
could be
weight,
how you look or anything like that. If everybody's doing that with all of these separate tracks, with all of these decisions, because it's what it is, isn't it? Mainly it's decisions.
Yeah.
Shall I or shall I not eat that?
Decisions and the whole, am I good enough? Am I fitting in with these themes as well? So yeah, you're right. Those three tracks.
And trying to second guess what other people think.
Yeah. Read other people's comments on it.
We sound paranoid, don't we?
But you wonder why our brains ache.
Yeah.
So that's before we even start with our to-do list for our business.
Exactly. So I wonder if this is part of the issue. Yeah. And the other thing that's coming up for me here that I'm thinking through now is that this is all just drama.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
We
don't have to, we can just sit in a bed on our phone and create this drama. And that's why you have to be smart, because that's why these ads do what they do. But those are three reoccurring themes, and honestly, I talked about it at the big show, and I talked about it last night, and that's what we're facing as women. That's going on. We're ruminating those.
You're a foodie eating sort of expert, aren't you? So
yes.
if we stopped worrying about, or trying to make a decision about, shall I eat this biscuit or shall I not eat this biscuit? How many biscuits shall I have this week, or shall I have that pudding or not have it? If we stopped doing that and actually sort of bargaining and arguing and just sort of ate what we wanted to, what do you think would happen on an individual level?
On an individual level,
so there you are. So say you're overweight anyway. So say and you are struggling. So I to put it into context, I don't struggle with my weight. This is my weight. This is it. And it just is. It's not good or bad, to be honest. I'm not, I can get about. Would I like to be 2 stone lighter? Yeah, probably. But I'm not, and I probably never will be. So I just sort of eat what I want to eat when I want to eat it. And if I haven't eaten any salad and I feel a bit like I'll have a salad, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I used to be the other way, which was I would be going, I'll have a Kit Kat. Shall I have a Kit Kat? And I would be bargaining with it. And now I just stopped. But I'm sort of, this is just how I am. But what about somebody who is really, really struggling? And who perhaps is compulsive eating and all of this sort of thing, if they just let it go and did what they wanted to do, what do you think would be the issue? What would happen?
Again, when I meet someone, I say to them, just tell me in a week naturally what you were eating, without having this whole mental dialogue, should I, couldn't. And then when I look at them, I just swap some things out. So I don't say, don't have the biscuit, don't eat this. I say, well, actually, is there just a better alternative? And I never, ever, and there's one feedback I get from everyone that I work with, I don't go, right, and here's a whole list of things you shouldn't do. I just say to them, just stop and breathe, just eat naturally for a week, and then just tell me what you're eating and how you're feeling. And then they tell me how they're feeling, but actually, we'll swap this out for that. I'm not saying don't starve yourself or eat, just swap these things around, and then I'd say just make sure, did you add protein with that? So I talk about meal principles. We absolutely do not cut things or have good or bad foods. What I do is actually naturally how you're feeling without stressing out. That's great. If you're still feeling not so sore, let's swap these foods out. So and then people say to me, you don't give a plan. No, I give principles of things I would swap out. But I just, for the first few weeks, I just let women eat.
But people are still they're still sort of making potentially judgments and decisions.
It depends. It depends if I meet. If I'm talking to women that are seriously eating, quite a lot of foods that would end up putting a lot of sugar into the body. They could be eating, lots and lots and lots.
You see, I don't eat sugar.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So there could be women that are. You got to remember, because I'm dealing with women that are going through hormonal changes. It flicks the cortisol, so we get a lot of sugar-driven activity.
Do you know? I've just realised what I said as well, and it is a decision. I don't eat sugar.
Yeah.
So somewhere along the line, what I did was I made a decision not to eat sugar, and I made a decision, and that's it. And so I don't. That's it.
Absolutely. And the first thing I do is then...
that decision, I don't have to worry about that anymore because it's done.
It's done, yeah. And that's what I do with the women. So I let them eat naturally. So what I do is don't eat what you think I want you to eat. Just give me a proper week's worth of food, what you do naturally. And then when I get that food diary back, then I'll say, well, actually, this is, from looking at if this is the truth, this is how you feel, then I would swap these things around. But I base it on them. I don't just say, here's what I think you should be doing. I make sure, because there's no point to me, it's small incremental changes. Or actually the food is in them fine and it was them trying to eat perfectly, So that's how I work with women.
So look at your recurring themes. Is there something that's always going on in the background and has been going on for years? Because I bet for a lot of people, even when they think back, this stuff has been going on for years.
And when it's so interesting. We do this a lot, and we come across the sort of theme at the same time. So let's go back to the food. So once we've got a reoccurring theme and we've sorted it, then it's done. Decisions made. I don't eat sugar. I do this. Job done. Do you know what? Let's clear it off that reoccurring theme. Done. Don't let it come back and ruminate. Same with finances. You've got a problem with finance. We'll do your cash flow. Is there a gap or not? Because all the time you think there is, you're in uncertainty. There is or there isn't. Make it absolute and try and work on that theme.
I saw a really interesting concept in a book, which seems really obvious when it's pointed out. I didn't actually read the book, actually. Sorry. I do a lot of research. I sort of look at what's going on and what people are thinking and feeling and that sort of thing. So I saw the book and I didn't read it because I thought, okay, yeah, I get that. Is that money problems are not the same as money worries, and that you can be a billionaire and still have money worries but not have money problems.
Yep.
And they are very, very different. And so if you're sitting there and you're worried about money, they are not going to go away if you have more money. No. You will just be worried about losing more of it than you were before. And
just do the gap, because people are going to tell you about energy bills and everything going through. So everybody's even more worried about money, investments. I say, well, what's the gap today? And then just review it every few days then. Because all the time you're worrying there's a gap, actually, you don't know the size of the gap and it could not be a gap. Or you pick a new client up tomorrow. So again, it's not sitting and facing that.
I think that's our strength and our weakness as business women, is that I can increase my salary tomorrow. Can't I?
You can.
I can. Yeah. I can go, hey, I've not got enough money to pay the electricity bill. Let's get some new clients. Let's get some different clients. Let's go to the clients I've got and see if they want anything else. I can. If I was employed, I may go to my employer and go, is it possible I can possibly have another £25,000 a year, please, on account of I've got this, that and the other? But there's going to be other employees going and asking that question, and they're probably really not going to give me that money. Whereas, so I am able to do that. When you win business, you have that flexibility. The downside of it is the risk
of losing it very quickly.
Is that we can also lose it very, very fast. But then, we're assuming here that employment is stable. It's not. You could lose your job, and you're really not very. If there's a dodgy economy, you're not necessarily in control of what your MD or CEO is doing. They may be making absolutely crappy decisions. You're better off, I think, making them yourself.
Absolutely. But either way, unless you sit and look at those numbers every few days, I think sometimes the uncertainty and the not knowing and the ruminating is worse than sitting down and looking at the gap in the cash flow. Because once you've got a gap, you can actually, could I then cut back on other costs? And because sometimes we don't always go back to suppliers or people. Do I really need to spend £30 a week in Starbucks? Am I really doing that? Oh my God, I didn't realise that. So for me, it's just taking that opportunity to sit back and look at costs and income, because other than not, we're going to ruminate over that because it's a constant.
But that's quite a difficult thing to do when you're scared, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You have to sort of put your big girl pants on and sit down and take some big breaths.
Yeah, you do.
And sit there and look at it. But it ain't going to go away. It's not going to be any difference. It is the truth.
Yeah.
So you need to sit down and do it. But at least as a business, we can shift.
Yeah, we can.
We don't have to ask anybody else to shift. We don't have to hope that the CEO is shifting. We can shift. Which is good and bad. It's down to us, isn't it?
It is, absolutely.
It's down to us. So I think brain space if you can free up some brain space by getting rid of some of those decisions, I think relationships are drama.
Yeah,
I think it's all drama. Actually, a lot of
relationships are as well, where you
the whole it's all drama. The whole thing isn't it?
Absolutely,
drama around losing weight, drama about I'm too fat, about relationships, about money,
and having again same with relationship, whether it be whoever that relationship is with, if it's not going where you want, you're going to have to sit down and have a conversation.
So, is there a drama in your life? Are you enjoying the drama?
Yeah.
No. But that may
some people like drama.
That may sound a bit odd. But sometimes we enjoy the drama.
Yeah, because sometimes if you're running around after the drama, it stops you from making sitting down.
It keeps you away from anything else. Yeah. So perhaps when you're looking at that, when saying actually, I don't want the drama. So I don't want the drama. How would you get rid of it? If the drama is just to put the phone down, say I'm sorry, I have to go now. Thank you, goodbye, and it's done. Why don't you do that? What reasons are you coming up with for not actually actually saying sorry? I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah, you're right, and I think where before you've got more control over the drama than I think you realise, because you can just cut it off, and that's what I've been doing over the last 3 months is realising actually I'm being pulled from pillar to post, but I'm not cutting the drama off. I should just cut it off. Because if you don't give it fuel, it dies out.
And I think there are two ways you can cut it off. One is you can literally cut it off. You can go, phone down. And the other way, I think, is you can cut it off.
Yeah, energetically. And then when you do energetically cut it off,
people know. They know.
Yeah. And you feel a bit better. Be careful, then it doesn't creep back a little bit. So you just have to make sure. But yes, that is so true, because it's so funny. People say to me, "Oh, when I get to talk to you, you're nicer than you look." Because okay, that's nice. Because
sort of,
okay. And they say because you sometimes err an element of boundary or energy. And I said yes, because once you get in, I will give you everything in the relationship. But sometimes I just a little bit more cautious and have that conversation, and I'm not as scary as I look. I was like, okay, because people will. You have to set that boundary and that energy. Otherwise, you'll be creating dramas. But the thing I've learned over the last 6 months is I can stop those dramas if I choose to.
Yes, we have a choice. I want to help back now into defining your role, because I think this is something that we very often don't do. When you're employed. So I'm going back to business now. I'm looking purely at business. When you're employed, you get this thing called a job description and a contract.
JD, contract.
And that sets out, I'm not saying there isn't any slippage, but that sort of sets out what it is that you're supposed to be doing. And if there is slippage on either way, so if I'm not saying this is easy to do, but let's just say your boss or the organisation starts overstepping the boundary, you have a piece of paper that you can say, look, this is the contract, you pay this, I work that, I do this. This is my role and these are my responsibilities. This is what I am responsible for delivering. But we very often don't do that ourselves, do we?
No, we don't. We absolutely don't. And then we wonder why we end up feeling
so we end up doing everything. Now, I have a job description. I do have a job description of what I am supposed to be doing. I'm responsible for strategy.
Yep.
And every now and then I forget that. I totally forget that.
You need to put it on the bedroom wall.
Yeah, I just do.
You do.
I totally forget that, and I find that I'm sort of, I'm not doing strategy at all. What I'm doing is fiddling around on Twitter. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't ever go and, I look at Twitter because I enjoy Twitter. I think it's quite an interesting platform. But there's a big difference between going and having a look at it for, to sort of catch up and see what's going on, than to actually start poking around in accounts. And so what am I actually supposed to be doing? What is my role?
And I think that changes over time, because you start off small and you could be doing everything. Because sometimes, I think when I started, my job description should have just had everything written on it. And then you might subcontract or get people in to help you. And then that changes because you've got to give them something to do, and then you mustn't go and interfere with what they're doing. So again, just keep reviewing what those boundaries are. And if there are things in that job description you don't want to do, then can you outsource them or not?
But it's also should you be doing them?
Yeah, should you?
So, I found myself fiddling around with invoices and receipts and I just make a total mess of it.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's because I won't say lost my way, but because I was rushing, things had to happen. Yeah. And it's actually sometimes it's just easier to do it yourself than it is to give it to somebody else. But if you don't set that boundary and go, yeah, okay, I am doing it now because it's easier for me to do it now because it actually has to be done now, and you do that every now and then, that's very, very different to where it then slips into when you've actually got somebody else who is actually supposed to be doing it. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah. You're now poking your nose into what they're doing, and they don't know where they are. Yeah. They've got no idea where they are. Has this gone or has it not gone? Has that been sent? I don't know. And so now you've got two people doing one person's job and you're not doing your own.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And so I have now diarised to review my job description. Am I doing what I am supposed to be doing? And if I'm not, who is supposed to be doing it?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, same as if the business strategy changes, get that back out again. And it's something, it's a core document in your operating processes that perhaps we just don't always have the discipline of doing those because we work for ourselves, therefore we're flexible. And you're right, so it comes back to that core and you go, so why are you there? What's your job? No wonder your diary's crashed and overwhelmed. Right, let's get back to basics. And sometimes and this time of year, I think is a good time to reset and just go back to basics before you head into the last quarter, that nothing has drifted over the summer, with what I've said to people.
So I'll tell you one thing that I did that I found really, really useful was I gave myself a job description. And but like a lot of business women, sometimes you don't have a huge team to pass things. It's you.
It's just me.
It's you.
Yeah, me, myself, and I.
Yeah, it is. And so, if you're not careful, not only do you have too much to do, but you sort of lose what it is that you're supposed to be doing, and you just end up doing loads and loads and loads of crap really fast and losing track of. You're just doing stuff, busy work.
Yep.
Nothing, stuff it doesn't need doing. What I did was I actually drew myself out a team document. So I drew out my team. This is my team. This is what they do. Even though there wasn't anybody in it.
Yeah, but you can...
But then I could make a decision about who was supposed to be doing what, and, I'm doing it, but this person should be. And guess what? I now have that team.
Yeah, I'm laughing, right, because... although it was just me, I did an organisation chart just because I felt I needed to, and I had all these roles, but boxes are empty, and
I got little heads, I got little faces.
The thing is, though, some of them I deliberately went out to find, but the scariest bit is organically
they found you.
They found me, and I would say 80% of those boxes were filled because they found me. But I thought, Adelle, I'm on my own, and I've got an organisation chart. It looks a bit lonely. 20% I secured, the other 80 the people come to me, and right up to the last gap, and that person came to me. That is the divine. That is the weirdest part.
It's really odd. So I think actually if you are feeling overwhelmed and busy, that is actually the thing that you should do, because I think if you set your own job description and then build your team and put their job descriptions in there as well, you are going to set those boundaries and define those roles, and it will get filled.
And when you're out networking and you go, "Oh, hello, I'm the accounts," I'm like, actually, I need you. Can I forgot? But you don't know what you don't. And again, it's having that strategy. So when you bump into people, you know you can have a conversation because you've got an empty chair in your table.
Yes, you're sort of ready for it, aren't you?
Yeah, you are.
We've solved it, haven't we?
We have.
There we go.
We always do. And we said at the beginning, 2 hours ago, what we're going to do in an hour? And I'm like, well, we always put it out the bag. And do you know why? Because this conversation we're having here, I've pretty much had over the last 3 or 4 weeks with lots of women.
So, if you're starting your business, if you're growing your business, if you don't have a job description and an organisational chart with who does what, you need to do that now. I tell you what, that's the first thing. We are starting, get ready for it, folks, we are starting a business, whatever it is, broadcast in January.
We are.
That is going to be it's going to be in real life, and that is going to be, I think, the first task we get people to do. If they already have that, fine. I tell you what, we've got task 2. They can move on to that.
Yeah, I think that works.
And I think, this is, you're not spending weeks doing this. Sit down. This is a 2-hour job.
Yeah, max.
Getting it down on paper, and then you can refine it. You can refine it as things move on. You don't set stuff. You don't get stuff down and then ignore it for 6 years. You get it down and you open it up and you work on it as the weeks and months go past.
It's part of your playbook, your operating manual.
Oh, look at that playbook.
I see my playbook.
I tell you what, I'm going to take my playbook. I think it's time to go now.
It is. We're done.
Yes, Adele's off to sniff saddles.
I'm going to send you a picture later.
Sniff saddles in the gym. I knew there was a reason she was always there.
You got it in though. You got the word of the week.
I'm Sean Murphy. This is Adelle Martin, and this is the Women in Business Radio Show. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Tune in next week to the Women in Business Radio Show for more stories, ideas, and inspiration to help you grow your business.